I'm Josh. I've been playing TTRPGs for at least 4 years now. Starting out a bit with 5e, and then completely sidestepping, pivoting into a fan-made Pokemon tabletop system, which I've been running for the better part of 3 years now.
Hi, my name is Tom. I am from Germany, and I am for this iteration of the Roll for Good charity event. I am the host of Verhext nochmal, or rather, I think the game is called Abracadabra, dreimal schwarzer Kater, but it runs on Verhext nochmal.
My name is Sam Richardson. I am the keeper for Own Goals, which is going to be one of the games played for the Roll for Good charity fundraiser. I first got started with tabletop RPGs all the way back in, I want to say, middle school. I had just moved to a new city and had met some slightly older friends. I think they were probably, sophomore or juniors in high school. And they invited me over one day because they needed a third person to play D&D 4th edition, I think. I want to say. So I came over and we hung out and played D&D 4th edition. I think my character died in the first session that I played. It was kind of ramshackle. Nobody really knew what they were doing, and fourth edition had a lot more rules. But I took to it pretty much right away, and immediately started thinking, oh, I want to run this for other people. I would love to have the opportunity to play again. Started looking for other groups. I started a little mini club at the high school once I moved up there to kind of teach and play the game. Though I wasn't using any official rules, I was just using what I remembered from that one session of playing together. Uh, I'll let you decide for yourselves how well that went. And then, yeah, I kind of consistently found it to be a hobby over the next couple of years. Found it to be something I really enjoyed. I've always been a fan of, you know, uh, fantasy and sci-fi and genre in general. So I've always found myself drawn towards D&D and all of that kind of stuff. And then when I realized that tabletop games could be more than just D&D, it was like, my head exploding. It was its own revelation. And I had a friend who started a Kids on Bikes live stream called Hijinks and Handlebars, and was kind enough to let me sort of struggle through trying to figure out how to be a performer live on Twitch. We played that for like 2 years basically together, and then I have continued to play tabletop games for audiences ever since, basically.
I think everyone has this thing by now where they say, you remember those first days of the pandemic when no one had anything to do and society came to a halt and everything just stopped and no one knew what they were doing. Yeah, for me, that's when my good friend Leander called me from school. And we hadn't talked in quite a while at that moment. He just wanted to check in because he's a very nice person. And we talked, and I was really glad that he called. And he just mentioned offhandedly, later in the evening, I'm going to meet with some of the other guys from way back then online, and we're going to play Dungeons and Dragons. And I said, okay, I have nothing to do. That sounds fun. Can I come and join? And he said, yeah, sure. I'm going to ask the DM, and you can probably join. And then I joined, and I played my very first TTRPG character then. It was a bard dwarf called Kurt Cobalt, and he looked like Kurt Cobain. And in my very first session, I slayed a beholder because I started my very first D&D game on level 14, and I slayed a beholder in a casino setting, so it wasn't a real beholder, but I did it last dwarf standing, and that got me hooked, as you can imagine. That was awesome. And from then on, I played a lot of D&D. I played Curse of Strahd with the guys, and then I got into the online TTRPG community, got on Twitter, when Twitter was still the thing that wasn't a toxic swamp, thanks to the Muskrat. And then I got into charity streaming, and I found places like The Tavern and Tavernaut, who's on a hiatus right now. I found Girls Run These Worlds. I found D8 Dungeon. I found amazing people who do this for charity, and I found for myself that this is a beautiful way for me to get experience playing, get experience streaming, and do something really good, because we're collecting money for awesome causes. And then I started playing on stream. I started DMing on stream after that, and I just got to experience so many different systems, and I'm glad that I'm doing this. It's a lot of fun.
I was the part of the classic lockdown era wave. There's this thing called Dungeons and Dragons. I've got loads of time on my hands. Why not give it a try? And like many other people, I was in a bit of a dark place at that time. I wasn't doing too great mentally, physically, and I'm glad I did catch on to D&D and the wider community, because it's been such an amazing thing. It's pulled me out of some really, really tough places, and it's helped me meet new people and meet people of different walks of life who I wouldn't maybe usually meet too. But yeah, that classic lockdown era is who I am, really.
My biggest influences are probably from film and TV. That's my day job, is I work in the entertainment industry here in Los Angeles, and I watch a lot of TV. So I think that structure is often where I pull from. In terms of like genre and tone, as I mentioned already, I love fantasy, sci-fi, urban fantasy, all that good stuff. I think I often try to think of like what like books and stuff have inspired me. I just finished the Ursula K. Le Guin's Wizard of Earthsea series, which I found really fascinating. And I think the thing that I always try to come back to, the like unifying element in all of the media that I really enjoy is a feeling of groundedness, is a feeling that these are real people that we really care about, whether that is in a fantastical landscape, whether that is on a different planet, whether that is on the streets of Chicago, or as is going to be the case with my game, in a suburban neighborhood with a little football league. I try to aim for, with varying degrees of success, I think, people that feel real, locations that feel lived in, stuff that feels like you could run into it in the grocery store, and then also and those feelings are there, right? Those emotions are there. I'll say just some stuff that I have really loved recently. Apple TV's Severance. I think I've really found that very, very compelling. The kind of interplay between the characters themselves and their plays off each other. The emotions just feel so honest. I also have really loved Jeff Vandermeer's Area X quadrilogy or series. Used to be a trilogy, but then he released a fourth book, which is in the genre of weird fiction and focuses on these characters sort of encountering this strange place that sort of defies any attempts to categorize it. If you've seen the movie, they made one of the books into 2018's Annihilation, which I also really like for, I think, different reasons. I think the books and the movies have their own place. I will also say, just in terms of fantasy, though it remains unfinished, I always come back to Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. I think that series, even though I don't know if it will ever really be completed, those two books managed to capture such a feeling and such an energy. I think it's really amazing.
Two. One would be Matt Colville and his philosophy around running the game. I learned a lot just from running his running the game series, and I'd recommend anyone do the same. A lot of wisdom there, a lot of stuff that I still find myself going back to from time to time. Second, and any of the players in my campaigns know this, I'm a sucker for just the classic medieval high fantasy world. So Lord of the Rings is where I draw a lot of inspiration, especially sort of the epic struggle against good and evil. The epic landscapes, the epic armies, the epic people, and the epic stories. That's where I take a lot from as well. So those two things.
That is such a difficult question because I consume so much. You've just noticed I spent like 5 minutes talking just about the systems I've played in Dungeons and Dragons, but I also, as it happens, watch movies and television shows. I also like to read a lot. I also play video games. So there is so much stuff that I love and that I could talk about. I honestly, one of the best animated shows I've watched in the recent years is The Legend of Vox Machina. I think what Critical Role does is Dungeons and Dragons executed to perfection, basically, in a lot of ways. So they're doing a really, really good job when it comes to like setting up these beautiful worlds and stories, and watching them unfold is marvelous. I really enjoyed, and that is a shout out to a program that is maybe not as well known as Critical Role, but should be. I'm a big fan of the Encounter Party. That is a program that has been a podcast for the first season and now is a D&D owned. Basically, they run on a D&D owned streaming platform, running a campaign. I haven't watched the second campaign because it's not available in Germany yet. If someone from Wizards of the Coast is listening to this, please make them available in Germany, and or Europe, and or anywhere outside of America, please. Thank you. But the first season is a beautiful 3-story, 3-season campaign arc, playing out in Ravnica, a world I really come to love. And they did a beautiful job telling the story, and I love like those little side characters that give a story depth and make them amazing and fun. Like they have a goblin, a retired goblin infanterist. What do you call the people who throw bombs? He's throwing bombs. That's his job in the military. He's called Widget, and Widget is amazing. I like characters like that. I also recently playing and watching a lot of Star Wars content, and I love the droid characters, for example. Droids are so much fun in Star Wars, like BD1 or B in Andor. I'm currently watching Andor. So that's an inspiration, and there's so much inspiration. I can't name it all. I'm currently listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl. If you haven't read or listened to that, I can really recommend the audiobooks. That's a lot of fun as well. So there's some inspiration. There's tons more.
So many. Now I'm like deep in the weeds of all of this stuff. So I'm always like, people are like, oh, let's get together and play Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm like, well, or we could play these 10 to 15 other games that I've been wanting to run. Some other games that I think deserve more attention from sort of the tabletop community and from those who maybe have seen D&D and kind of think that that is sort of the monolith of what a tabletop game can be. Because I think there are plenty of those people who might be interested in the hobby if it weren't Dungeons and Dragons that they were playing. Are Beam Saber by Austin Ramsay, which is an amazing Forged in the Dark game about mech pilots piloting, these enormous war machines in a never-ending conflict. I always come back to The Ground Itself by Everest Pipkin, which is a sort of world-building game and a very siloed game focused on a singular community that you sort of watch evolve over time. Just recently, there's a game released called Realis by Austin Walker, and I'm forgetting his co-writer right off the top of my head, but I think that has like completely opened up a whole new world. It's a game without any dice, based entirely on sentences. So you're comparing how real certain sentences are, and your sentences level up. Those are like your character abilities. It's kind of crazy. Good Society by oh goodness, what is the who are the folks that make that? Now I'm forgetting off the top of my head. You'll have to put it somewhere, but that's one that I always come back to as a great antithesis to D&D, because I think the pool of people that if you told them a tabletop game can be a Jane Austen, role-playing game where you can spend a token to make someone else do a monologue, and you can write letters to each other and sort of instigate, conflict and kind of play the social web, is a lot broader than, if you just told people RPGs are you have a sword and you go and fight a big dragon to rescue a princess. Or, whatever. Not that, all love to D&D. I play it. I love it too. It certainly has its place, but yeah, I'm sure I could go through my list here. Give me 1 second. I have a big folder here. Oh my goodness. One I've wanted to shout out for years here is a friend of mine got me a physical copy of Meanwhile in the Subway. I don't know if you can see this here. By Home Martin, I think is how you pronounce their name. And the physical version, it gives you all of the rules, but it is also a huge transit map.
That's very cool.
It's kind of difficult to see here, but it's so cool. It's such a good idea. I'm so happy. My friend got it for me for a Secret Santa, and I have treasured it in my little folder of RPGs here as something that I thought was really unique and really, really cool.
Excellent. Yeah.
I'm playing less and less D&D because of like societal reasons around the game. Not necessarily because of the game, but because of like I don't necessarily fuck with the business decisions they have done in recent years. And that's why I basically switched to a lot of indie systems. Lately, I'm running a lot of Brindlewood Bay, which I really enjoy. Just having all these characters, all my friends, basically put on their grandma clothes and solve crimes on the north coast of America, the east coast of America. That's what they call it. And that's a beautiful system. I have recently played Shadow Dark. So a grim dark version of D&D, basically. That was also a lot of fun because I tried to play the most not grim dark character you can imagine. Just little mushroom guy trying to pick mushrooms, sell mushrooms, do mushrooms in all the ways you can imagine. That I've been playing that. I've been playing Kids on Bikes, Kids on Brooms, some. I've played Masks. I've played a beautiful little game called Cozy Town, where you construct your own little place, and that was also beautiful. Did that on stream with Tavernaut. Yeah, lots of stuff. So many great games out there. I'm going to try the Wild Sea on stream with you guys, because I'm not only DMing or GMing in this, but I'm also playing. I'm looking forward to that. It looks really, really great. Amazing artwork. Yeah, that's the ones I've recently did. There's so many on my list that I want to try. If someone is out there and has a table and wants to give me the opportunity to try Mausritter, I would be absolutely amazed if someone had the opportunity for me to play that. Same goes for stuff like 10 Candles. I would love to try. If someone has a Wander Home game running, or even Jaziba's Bed and Breakfast, I would love to try those. I love everything that Jade Dragon is doing. And yeah, I'm very, very much into experiencing new things. Candela Obscura I just played last year with you, so that was also amazing. Yeah, I mean, if you want to just consume TTRPG content, that is absolutely fine as well. Please do whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you happy. But if you want to learn in the TTRPG community, if you want to learn about the game, if you want to become a better GM, if you want to become a better player, if you want to become a better writer, if you want to become whatever, do it. Go out there. If you want to do it streamed, If you want to do it just with your friends or with the table in the game store or whatever, find places where you can play and where you can experience this, because nothing helps as much as doing it yourself and experiencing how it is, because there's nothing that can replicate this experience of just sitting at the table, having fun with your friends. Maybe also not having fun because there's a situation that sucks in a moment, and then you have to figure it out. But you can't learn that stuff without doing it. But always use protection kits. Always use safety tools, please. That's important as well. If you do that, I think you will have a lot of fun. If you think that's the only way to learn and play a lot of systems, that would be my recommendation. If you find one that fits you perfectly, then that's amazing as well. But I tend to have a lot of fun by trying out different ways of telling stories, and it's so fascinating to see what other people think are cool ways to tell stories, and to basically, it's not only about telling the stories, but it's also about how do we open up worlds where those stories can be told. And that's what different systems basically are, different ways of playing, interacting, whatever. And I think it's fun to figure out how different people see the world.
I'll give one piece of advice to players and one piece of advice to GM.
Yeah.
If that's okay. For players, be communicative with your GM. You know, if something sucks and you didn't have a great time, be respectful, but let them know and help them understand your point of view on that. If the GM runs a killer session and you loved every moment of it and you want more, tell them that. Please tell them that. You know, GMing is such an underappreciated, in my opinion, thing. A bit of a selfless thing sometimes. And just be vocal, let them know in a respectful way, in a mindful way, of course. Be communicative with them, because it helps them understand what you want as a player, and it helps them better build that shared experience. As a game master, especially for a new game master, might cheat a bit and go back to the previous one I gave, which was, build situations, not stories, you know. And sometimes some of the best moments can come from a player going completely left of centre, and it might frustrate you at first. I want them to go this way, and they're going this way. Sometimes that's fine. Embrace that, and some of the best moments can come from that chaotic energy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Nothing bad ever comes from making your table and your game more diverse. I think there is, I'm a white guy from America. I'm very well represented in the tabletop community. I think that there is a real opportunity for this, hobby and industry to look less like me and to look less like D&D. I think there's a lot of people doing really amazing stuff. A lot of white men doing really amazing stuff with D&D. I think of Brendan Lee Mulligan, and I think like, wow, okay, that's incredible. Like, what a I love Worlds Beyond Number as much as the next guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like, even there, I think one of the strengths of Worlds Beyond Number is that Brennan has surrounded himself with really, really talented folks from just like a really wide variety of backgrounds. And, as comfortable as he is with D&D, maybe change it up, I think there's so many amazing games and more every day that people are making that come from such interesting places, and I'd love to see more of that in the world. I think there's some indie creators that I know that are like doing incredible stuff that deserve more attention. And yeah, I think, yeah, that's what I'll say. I think nothing bad ever comes from making your table or your game more diverse.